Monday Night Football, the Seattle Seahawks travel to take on the New York Giants. Today I'm going to talk about a couple props as well as who I think wins this contest. What's going on? My name's Austin from Calling Our Shot. Before we dive into it, let's dominate Monday Night Football. Who says no? Last Monday, we swept the board. Let's do it once again. But first, let's recap how we did on Sunday, a continuation of what has been a very mediocre start to the season. We've never had a losing season. Last year, we were up about 24 units. The year before, about 43. This year, we're 27 and 28, pending our last pick, which is a Sunday Night Football pick. So hopefully we can go to 28 and 28. But like I said, it's just been an average start to the year. I know a hot streak's coming. It always does. We sometimes have these lulls. We're just kind of walking on a treadmill. But I know that when that hot streak comes, you'll notice it. We're going to have an absolute go on a heater. Hopefully it starts tonight and we continue that into Thursday Night Football. But my last note before diving into the plays, Underdog Fantasy has a great offer for you guys. I've talked about it a couple times over the last week because on October 4th, the deposit match offer is going to go away up to $500. So right now, if you sign up with our code COS or the link in the description, you get a 100% deposit match up to $500. Normally, that max is $100. That's what it normally is, but they've upped it up to $500 up until October 4th. And in addition to that, if you use our code, you get exclusive access to a Geno Smith free square for Monday Night Football. So take advantage of it. We love Underdog Fantasy. You can use a couple of the props I'm going to talk about in this video over there and take advantage of that deposit match offer that they got going until October 4th. But let's dive into the plays. If you are new, subscribe. Let's dive into this guy, the guy that's probably on the thumbnail. He's this absolute stud. I would never want to tackle him. His name's DK Metcalf. I like his over 60.5 receiving yards, minus 110 on Bet365. Most books are right around this line. Some might be at 61, 62.5. Personally, I play it to bet around 64.5. I do think DK Metcalf is in for a big Monday night game. And look, this is a Giants secondary that is just very inexperienced. And I think DK Metcalf and Geno Smith will take advantage of that. We've seen this season, you look at Metcalf, how he's done 2 to 3 to this line. He's gone over twice, under once. You look at his last couple of games, 47, 75, and 112 receiving yards this year on 3, 6, and 6 receptions on 5, 6, and 8 targets. So more or less, let's hope he can go over for a third straight game. I really like this matchup because this is against a Giants team that they just have a lot of inexperienced guys out there, and they play a lot of man coverage. In fact, the Giants, I believe, play the most man coverage in the league, something Metcalf has great splits against in terms of he crushes man coverage, and they're currently starting 2 rookies on the outside. One was a first-round pick, the other a 6th-round pick. Now, Adoree Jackson's the 3rd guy, but he doesn't really play as much, and he's probably not going to shadow DK Metcalf. But even if he does, I like Geno Smith to take advantage. If you see a guy like Geno, he's an experienced quarterback. He knows if he sees man coverage, he's probably going to go to his best receiver, his biggest guy out there, and that's DK Metcalf. And we've seen wide receivers and just pass catchers in general have success against the New York Giants. You look at week 1. CeeDee Lamb, 70 yards against them. That was a game they were won by 40. Half the starters didn't even play the whole second half. So even them, they didn't have to throw it a bunch. We look at the next week, we saw 3 Cardinals go over the line. Marquise Brown, you saw Michael Wilson and Zach Ertz all with 54 yards or more above each. And then you saw last week, George Kittle had 90, and Deebo Samuel had 129. They struggled to tackle Deebo Samuel. They're going to again struggle to tackle DK Metcalf if he can get in space. And we've just seen a lot of these games haven't even been competitive really for a lot of the Giants games. The first week wasn't competitive. The second week against the Cardinals, they were down a ton of points, ended up coming back and scoring and winning that game. And last week, the 49ers kind of had their way with them. But I think they're going to see a guy like DK Metcalf get his splits, get his matchups, get his man-on-man coverage, and I think Geno's going to take some shots with him. And I'm comfortable with trusting a guy like DK Metcalf to go out there and get a 61 yards on Monday Night Football. You look at his receptions line, sitting at 4.5, about minus 150 on the over. Look, if we can get 4, which they think is very juiced, if we can get 5 receptions, which is juiced as well, I'm really comfortable with trusting DK Metcalf, a guy we know he can do this in one play, but we'll take him to do it in a couple plays if he has to do it that way. I also think the Giants in this game is a competitive one, so I think they'll be throwing from the first quarter through the 4th. So DK Metcalf, we're rolling with you. Get a 61 yards, like his over 60.5. I'll play it up to 64.5 if the line does shift by the time the kickoff rolls around. But let's keep it moving. I got another player prop, and it's going to be a kind of parlay. Let's talk about these 2 guys, Darren Waller and Darius Slayton, both of the New York Giants, 25 plus receiving yards each. So we need 25 from Darren Waller, 25 from Darius Slayton. Boom, we're winners. Minus 119 on FanDuel. Now, if you are on a DFS app like Underdog Fantasy, my personal favorite would be taking Darius Slayton's over in receiving yards. But honestly, both these 2 guys have my seal of approval for the over in receiving yards, and we'll talk about that in a second. So if you want to put both of them, go for it. I personally couldn't decide on one or the other, but I think both have great spots, great matchups. Now, honestly, if you're on DraftKings, that's your only book. Don't even bother going and putting this in your book because you'll see at DraftKings this exact parlay minus 270. I mean, look, it's a no-brainer that FanDuel's giving us the best offer. Let's go there. But let's talk about the Seahawks secondary, who obviously these two guys will be going up against. And you look at the Seahawks secondary, they're going to be down Trey Brown, Artie Burns, and Kobe Bryant. He is doubtful. The other two are already ruled out. Now, the Seahawks already, as is, have allowed the most passing yards in the NFL this season. And if you look at it so far through this year, they've allowed 12 players to have 25 plus receiving yards against them. If you were to look at it, 3 in week 1, 5 in week 2, 4 last week. So this is a team that is just struggling on the back end. Tariq Woolen, the second-year guy who was great in his rookie season, he should be back. He missed most of week 2 and then missed last week 100%. He'll be back, and sure, he'll bolster up that secondary, but I'm not too scared of him. Jamal Adams is supposed to make his season debut, but I'm not really too scared of him. If anything, Jamal Adams should do well in the run game, stopping the run, forcing Daniel Jones in this offense to pass, and they're going to likely have to rely on their first-round pick, Devin Witherspoon. So I like the Giants to be able to take advantage in the passing game. We know Saquon Barkley is doubtful to play, and while he could play, there's pros and cons of him playing. Obviously, if he plays, they're going to run the ball a little bit more, but that's going to show a lot more respect from the Seahawks. They're going to bring up those safeties to try to stop the run. We should have some one-on-one opportunities back behind. If they don't have them, then you're trusting Matt Breida to really run the ball, and I don't really trust that a whole lot. I think they throw the ball a little bit more in that circumstance, but we've seen Slayton and Waller. These are the number 1 and number 2 targets for a guy like Daniel Jones. He's going to have to throw the football on Monday night. We've seen Slayton so far this year, 15, 62, and 32 yards this season on 5, 6, and 6 targets. Waller himself, 26, 76, and 20 yards this season on 5, 8, and 7 targets. So, look, they've been able to get to that 25 mark each in 2 of the 3 games. Waller last week, terrible matchup against the 49ers, and I just am really, really comfortable with trusting these two guys to get 25 yards apiece. I think they could easily get 50 plus, but I'm not going to go that crazy. 25 plus could be something they could do in 2 catches, which I'm pretty confident they get at least that, but I also think they have great matchups. Darren Waller should be able to get open. He's a trusted target already just through 3 weeks with Daniel Jones. Darius Slayton's been the number 1 guy for Daniel Jones over the past couple seasons, so I think both these two guys can easily get it done. 25 apiece, I think, should be a no-brainer play. Hopefully they can maybe they can get this done in the first half. That would be awesome, but either way, I like them to get it done full game. They should be able to pass the ball and at least get 25 yards apiece. Darren and Darius, we're counting on you both. Go get your jobs done. Now, finally, let's talk about who I think wins this game. Now, personally, I'll put up a lean on the channel. I like the Seahawks on the screen. I like the Seahawks on the money line, but this is a lean. A lean is something that personally I'm not 100% confident in, and I'm not in the business of coming out here and giving plays that I'm personally not going to put money on, and I'm going to recommend you put money on if it's not something I'm going to tail myself. Now, I lean the Seahawks, but this honestly feels an identical, so I'm not going to count this towards my record because I'm not going to have any money on the Seahawks, but this looks like an identical line and sort of game as we saw Lions versus Packers on Thursday Night Football. Now, I obviously was on the Packers. That was the wrong side to be on, but when you look at the line discrepancy and you look at where the public's going to be, just like the Lions, everyone's going to be on the Seahawks on Monday Night Football. And while I would love to be a contrarian and pick the Giants, I don't want to be sitting in the same spot where they're like the Packers, where they're just getting smoked and you're just like, why did I bet on this team just because they're at home? I think the Giants have a chance. This is obviously a playoff team from last year, not looked good through 3 weeks, has a long break to get ready for this game. But this is also a Seahawks team that I like more in terms of, their offensive side, what they're able to do on offense. I don't really trust the Giants not without Saquon Barkley and their left tackle, Andrew Thomas. So at the end of the day, it's not a one that I really want to force a pick out here and just say, hey, here's a unit, throw a unit. I don't trust it. I want to know what you guys like in the comment section down below. I'll root for what everyone's out there. They're probably going to be majority on the Seahawks, so I'll probably root for the Seahawks to get it done. Hopefully DK Metcalf's carrying them to victory, but it's just not a game I have a lot of, conviction on one side or the other. So I don't want to come out here and say, hey, you need to put your money on this side when it's just not something I 100% believe in, which hopefully you guys can respect and understand where I'm coming from. But our 2 props, hopefully those go 2-0, and if the Seahawks want to win too, that would be a nice lean cash, which does not cash to count towards my record, but still would be cool if the leans can hit as well. But love you guys. Have a great rest of your Sunday and Monday whenever you're watching this video, because it gets posted Sunday nights. Let's have a great end of week 4. Look forward to our great week 5. Ties are going to turn soon, and when it turns, it's going to be like that. We're going to be piling up the units, so hopefully that starts soon. Hopefully it starts on Monday Night Football. I'll see you guys back in the next one. I'm Austin. I'm signing out. Go check out the second channel if you want to. Go show some love to it.